The Burial of Kojo is a new film combining traditional African mythology with some of the current social and political issues faced by many African countries today.
The film was recently picked up by Ava DuVernay's distribution company, Array, and will premiere on Netflix this Sunday. Here's a preview.
My father Kojo had had the same recurring dream for 7 years. The dream where the sea swallows the earth and a raging fire burns. He never told anybody about this dream. He never told anyone it wasn't a dream at all. It was more like a memory, a tragic memory he could never forget. My father believed only the water could cleanse the past. So before I was born, he moved to a village surrounded by nothing but water, a village far, far away. This is where my story begins.
Well, earlier in the week, Vlad and I spoke with the film's writer-director, Blitz Bazawule, and he described finding inspiration for the story while visiting his family in Ghana.
It started with first the environment, which is the illegal mining that's been happening on the continent for years. But then it's gotten very complex because people are risking their lives more and more. The mines are getting deeper and the profits are getting less and less. So I heard about this group of miners who had been buried alive, and of course I was shocked. I started researching, and I started to find out more about the socio-economics, about the challenges that these miners face. So immediately I was like, this was worth telling. But of course I didn't want to focus so much on the tragedy. I wanted to focus on a family that's going through their issues and then use this as the backdrop.
Yeah, because you use the illegal mining as a backdrop. You sort of touch on the influence of the Chinese, but you don't explore it. It's not part of the plot, but it is a significant part of the backdrop.
It is the backdrop, my thing was, so many times when we see films from the continent of Africa, they're often shrouded in the problem, right? And it's never about the people that are going through their everyday lives. So I wanted to make sure that that was in the foreground. Right. And of course, making sure the background was realistic and kind of represented what's happening right now.
That makes sense.
So what was it like filming in Ghana? I think a lot of people in the West would be surprised to know that the African film industry is one of the largest in the world. The Nigerian film industry in particular is considered, I think it switches places occasionally between Bollywood and Nollywood, but it is one of the top movie filmmaking countries in the world.
But Ghana is sort of making a comeback.
It is making a comeback, and it's interesting. Our markets have been self-sustaining for years, and it just goes to the basic fact that people want to see themselves. They want to see their stories told.
They want to see their stories told.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, but what's beautiful now is infrastructure's growing. So we went from very low quality, ad hoc type of productions to very well produced films now, and just you can see it in the beauty and in the shots and in the professionalism now.
Yeah, I said to you that the movie's like a painting. The use of color, you can tell is very deliberate, but what really moved me, we were talking before we started, is your use of music. Yes. That there are often times where you could have used dialogue and another filmmaker would have used dialogue, but instead you use music and imagery. Yeah. So, of course, it makes sense that you have a musical background, but I'm wondering how much thought did you put into the music?
Quite a lot, and it's that thing where you don't know where it starts and where it ends. I mean, I know that so much of the pacing was melodic, so much of it was kind of what I will do if composing music, and so it was beautiful. I started as a visual artist first.
This totally makes sense.
So
it really does,
I did a lot of art, and then I started making music. So film has just kind of been the happy medium for kind of.
Yeah, that's awesome. How did you balance the use of African mythology with some of the socioeconomic and political issues that you touch upon in the film?
Well, I mean, that's how we tell stories. So, like, I grew up with my grandmother's stories. Like, that's the beginning of my understanding of what stories are. And they were always just like that. They wove through these worlds of the real and unreal. And when I was making this film, I told myself, well, if my grandmother had a camera, what kind of film would she make? Right? And this is the kind of film that I think, from birds riding horses to, but then also dealing with such stark, real, political, social issues. Right. So kind of, and of course it's from the eyes of a little girl, which kind of also makes it easy for us to to weave through this world.
That's so
And
cool.
you caught the eye of
Ava DuVernay.
Indeed.
Her production company, her distribution company, Array, is going to be got it streaming on Netflix, right?
Yes,
So it's going to be streaming on Netflix.
March
coming up.
31st. Yep.
What was it like working with her?
Fantastic. So, I mean, Ava, of course, Ava is like the most amazing person you'll meet. Inspirational on every level, but also, you know, it was a real validation for us.
Yeah.
You know, to be in a hole making a film for about 2 years, and then to come out of that and for her to embrace it the way she has, and of course, Netflix is the biggest platform that a film can have now. So that's huge for us.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations,
It's
Brian.
a beautiful film. We
Great
kind of
film.
didn't really talk about the plot so much because it's actually complicated.
Right.
Like I read these little blurbs and I'm like, that's not really what it's about. It's
Yeah.
about a broken family and a broken heart and a little girl trying to save her dad and mysticism and all sorts of other things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's worth watching.
Yes,
Yes,
it is.
exactly. People just have to, it's on Netflix on a Sunday when you're chilling at home on the couch. Watch this film.
That's it.
Thanks
Blitz,
for being
thank you
here,
Thank you
Blitz.
so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
You can also watch The Burial of Kojo in select theaters starting today, and it streams on Netflix starting March 31st.